Roughly 7 years before the release of the first Necron Warrior minis, the Warhammer 40k universe was terrorized by insidious chaos androids. What's the story behind these demon-powered robots? Let's find out. Hello folks, and welcome to a quick video on Games Workshop's mysterious and influential Chaos Androids, plasteel constructs built by evil space dwarves and animated by literal demons. I mentioned Chaos Androids briefly in our recent Tyranid Attack video, but since these plastic mechanoids no doubt influenced the design of early Warhammer 40k Necrons, featured here on the right and left, and also had their own, admittedly brief, tenure in the Warhammer 40k universe, I thought their story was worth a closer look. The first appearance of Chaos Androids, as I understand it, was as antagonists in 1990's Space Crusade miniatures-based board game. Space Crusade was a collaboration between board game giant Milton Bradley and the then much smaller Games Workshop, which had worked with Milton Bradley on 1989's very successful HeroQuest fantasy adventure game. In this Space Crusade advertisement, you can see stylized versions of the Chaos Androids being obliterated by Space Marines on the game's box art, and across the panel you also see some very angry gene stealers. At the bottom of the page we get a mysterious image of a painted android mini with a chaos symbol featured prominently on his forehead. What's strange is that the android figure is quite a bit different from the plastic androids featured on the right here, which I believe are the actual minis used in Space Crusade. So was the white android a prototype or unreleased figure? If you know the story, please leave a comment. So obviously Space Crusade is a Warhammer 40k adjacent product and not officially part of Games Workshop's 40k universe, so if this was the only appearance of the Chaos Android miniatures, one could write them off as a non-canon design that probably inspired the first Metal Necron figures that Citadel released way back around 1997-1998. However, that is not the entire story of the Chaos Androids. These Chaos Dwarf-created, demon-powered constructs would invade the actual Warhammer 40k universe in 1991, appearing in White Dwarf 143 in an article entitled Stompers, written by none other than Rick Priestley himself, author of Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. The Stompers article presents stats and data cards for the plastic epic scale figures featured in the Epic Stompers box set, which was an expansion for Games Workshop's Space Marine 2nd Edition, the game of epic scale battles in the war-torn 41st millennium. In fact, Games Workshop released a host of epic scale plastic miniature box sets for Space Marine in the early 1990s, and I really regret not picking up a few of these at the time, as they would have been great for card table sized games of Grimdark Future, Xenos Rampant, or other detachment type sci-fi rules. The Epic Stompers box included, surprise surprise, Epic Orc Stompas, battle machines that are smaller than Titans but bigger than Dreadnoughts. The box set also included Epic Eldar Dreadnoughts, Chaos Dreadnoughts, Terminator Marines, Mole Mortars, and, strangely enough, Chaos Androids. The box set contained 24 of these epic-scale pre-Necron little buggers, and they were also featured prominently in Rick Priestley's White Dwarf article. The article even provides some Chaos Android lore, stating, quote, "The Chaos Android is a shining skeleton of hardened plasteel. Its cunning construction is a secret known only to certain tainted squat fabricators working in league with the Chaos Renegades. Each android contains a tiny bound demon, an animated spirit imprisoned within its plasteel shell by the conjurations of a Chaos Sorcerer. The contained demon hates being trapped this way and will do anything to escape, but it is bound to obey any direct order it is given. The demon will always try to interpret any command in as perverse a way as possible in order to avoid doing what it's supposed to. So yeah, any orders you give a Chaos Android, make sure they are very clear and not open to interpretation." In addition to the Chaos Android background and the Space Marine game stats, the article also includes a Chaos Android data card for use in Space Marine 2nd Edition. So without a doubt, you could field Chaos Android squads in an official game set in the Warhammer 40k universe. And finally, just to cement their place in Warhammer 40k history, we see a few Chaos Androids skulking around in the lower right corner of the Stompers box art. Chaos Androids may not be part of the current Warhammer 40k canon, but they definitely were at one time. Okay team, that is our quick investigation of Space Marine and Space Crusade plastic Chaos Androids from the early 1990s. I purchased 10 painted Space Crusade androids for about 45 bucks on eBay recently, so even though these minis are over 30 years old, they're really not that expensive. You could certainly use these for retro Necron proxies or for any sci-fi game that might feature generic mechanoids such as Stargrave or 5 Parsecs from Home. So I guess that's a wrap for today. Thank you as always for stopping by. I hope you got a kick out of today's video. We'll be back soon with some more tabletop wargaming foofara, but until then,
hasta la vista, baby.